Scent of grass. Sister C let go of me and her voice was choked by tears. Ton, may you be living well after arriving there. You should try to study, manage your time, and write to me only when you're really free. I was angry at myself for having difficulty to unlearn the bad habits I had acquired for a long time. Having arrived here for half a year, but I still kept swearing badly. It was so bad that even at the presence of adults beside, I couldn't help spitting four-letter words I had acquired in my previous street urchin's life when starting to speak something, or letting out a swearword in the middle or at the end of an utterance. Every time. Once as I was angry with a black guy in my class when standing in line waiting to go to the mess hall. I told the matter to some of my fellow countrymen who were of other class, without being aware of a Vietnamese lady who was standing behind the counter. It was not until I was conscious of those rude, uncontrolled words that were getting out from my mouth did I feel embarrassed. I blushed and wished I could fly to my room to hide myself under the sheets lest anyone could see me. It was grateful that this Vietnamese lady just looked at me disapprovingly, but also understandingly, and she gave me some slight advice. I was speaking in my beard. I'm sorry. I know I am rather foul-mouthed and rude. I'll try to improve myself gradually. The lady nodded slightly, and she ladled out much more food into my tray than usual. Those boys behind me must be very surprised seeing that. I liked eating chicken skin. Reading those supermarket tabloids, I learned that skin of any animal is its fat deposit, not good for health. In a long term, fat in your blood would be deposited on arterial wall, and it would block the arteries and harm the heart. Now that you were young, diseases wouldn't appear. But the trouble would come one day with your old age. Having learned that, I thought I would give up eating the stuff. But any time chicken fries were on the menu, all chicken skin from other trays were gathered and forwarded to mine. I took it all. What would be would be. You shed no tears until seeing the coffin. Months ago, there hadn't been anything to eat. Now, how could I dump all this heap into a trash can? Since the long craving for a kind of food had been absorbed into my blood, it was hard to be quitted overnight. I also like sipping coffee and smoking 555 brand cigarettes. Every morning, when my dad got a cup of coffee from my mom, I also had the same from her. But one thing, my dad could smoke inconsiderately at the dining table, blowing out clouds of smoke up to the ceiling and even into my mother's and my younger sister's faces, while I had to take small puffs stealthily at the backyard or in the bathroom. At a rare occasion when everybody was out, I could be free to take very long and deep puffs. I kept the smoke long in my lungs, then blew it out and took it back immediately by nose. This was extremely arresting. The pleasure beggared description. It was more pleasant to smoke sneakily than to do it openly in the schoolyard, or on the way home, or in those dark coffee shops which were ubiquitous around here. One good thing was that I didn't like beer, nor did I like listening to adults' talks. I very much hated bad-mouthing someone behind his back and listening to ribald tales from those who gathered to amuse themselves drinking. My uncle and his friends threw a party at home noisily every weekend. Cans of beer were opened generously and displayed invitingly all over the kitchen, but I left them untouched. I also turned a deaf ear to their noisy and funny jokes, unlike my peers who had just arrived like me, were ready to take any beer offered to them, and to prick their ears to adults' talks so as to retell them to the others later, and sometimes they even joined with their laughs and comments. Again, they threw a party that day, but it was not on weekend. It was a holiday. All the same, it was their day off, and they took it a reason to get together for a drinking binge. As adults, they took themselves the right to do all the things that they banned as young men to. It was too noisy. I was about to put on clothes to go to a coffee shop when the door opened. One more man came in. I trembled when seeing his face. That was a lumpish and ugly man, but he looked familiar. Additionally, from his body there was a whiff of scent like that from a girl that I could not verify. I inhaled deeply. The strong smell of cigarette smoke and the slight fragrance from Vietnamese-style dishes which were usually wafting on the air here had given way to the slight scent of a kind of human flower that was blooming. It could not be of any special perfume. However, special perfume must be artificially made. But this was a kind of heavenly scent, the pure scent that it even took the Creator more than 10 years to apply to the body of a virgin. I had this feeling many times when seeing the man. The scent disappeared some minutes later. Once it was so strange that when the phone rang, I took up the receiver, and as soon as the caller told me his name, I felt the scent wafting in the room. I answered him more sweetly than I ever did before, and I smelled the heavenly scent of 1,000 kinds of flowers from heaven, plus the 1,000-year-old aroma from highest mountains, the smell of peach leaves falling around the waves in paradise,
The
and she
slight
gave
waft
me
of
some slight
swearword,
advice. I was
the
speaking
sweet
in my
waft of a
beard.
luward in
I'm
smoke,
sorry. I
the
know
scent
I
of
am
the
rather
sap exuded
foul-mouthed
from a
and
purdog
rude.
tree
I'll
that
try
was
to
freshly
improve
felled
myself
now.
gradually.
All this
The
scent, which
lady
was so
nodded
light
slightly,
and
and
soft,
she
was
ladled
lifting
out
my
much more
soul
food into
slightly.
my
At the
tray
same
than
time,
usual.
Those
it
boys
pressed on
behind
my
me
heart
must be
with a
very
feeling of
surprised seeing
disappointment,
that.
as I knew that the scent would disappear in some minutes. I was really surprised.
Was this man a deity or a ghost that possessed such a superordinary ability? As a matter of fact, I was not only absolutely dazed for hours to analyze the scent, but also spent more hours looking for a way to explain that mysterious phenomenon.
All explanations were not sound enough. Of course, it was a kind of scent, but it was so light and smelled sweet.
It was like the freshness of an early morning,
which was rather cold and foggy with some dews on the tips of grass leaves. It was also like the gentleness of the immense space after an afternoon rain.
I was thinking of some royal jelly that had been refined with the scent of young girls, then desiccated and blown into the air by the early breezes in the cold morning of the first day of the TT.
However, I was unable to say what the exact quality of that fantastic scent was.
It might be that the light, mysterious, heavenly scent covered a small space that the man was able to move with, and within it, I kept this secret for my own and expected my dad would move my family away so that I would no longer see this old queer man
who had given me the special feeling of disappointment. I could not stand the feeling of being caressed by the satisfaction in some minutes and then followed by hours of great disappointment because of abrupt loss and regretting,
and expectation of seeing him again so that I would be able to enjoy the rare heavenly scent, an experience that I might not have another opportunity to encounter again until the end of my life.
But my dad could not find a good job, and every day my mother lodged her hope on impracticable promises by someone around about some job she would be hired for in the near future. We had to reside in my uncle's, so I would feel both happy and wretched with the mysterious scent wafting from the lumpish, ugly and over-the-hill man.
Once I held back my habits to listen to their conversation as soon as the man entered the house with the scent I mentioned about. "Oh, long time no see." Someone greeted him. "It must be a month so far."
"Just being back from Vietnam? You look quite emaciated." "I just stay in the States," responded the man, "and didn't go anywhere."
"As my business turned worse, so I haven't come see you fellows as usual." "And you've no longer been to Vietnam so frequently?"
the other man asked. "Sitting pretty no more," said the man, "so I'd better restrain myself. Just stop going for some time." "Well, to see how the land lies, you know." "Who'll take care of your girl then?" "She'll go mouldy." "Oh." The man laughed. "She's staying there waiting for me to come back to sharpen her for a couple of weeks, and she'll be free of mold as usual." All people present, including my father, were in a fit of the guffaws.
Their laughter was a pain in the neck that caused me in a fit of pique. I deliberately listened to their next conversation.
The more I listened to them, the more the scent I was aware of through my nose, and my heart was fading away.
"She had been brought from the countryside to entertain some Taiwanese, and then was transferred to you, right?"
someone asked. "You were the second one to take her, huh? The way to the paradise must still be very excitingly tight."
"And the heavenly cave is marvelously tiny, since not many earthly men have visited."
"How interesting. You need not refer to it with such a literary style," the man explained.
"I rented a house at Tianjin neighborhood behind the Cambodian pagoda for 3 years, and made her the lady of the house."
"She lives there waiting till I've earned enough money to come back. After a long drought, there will be good showers."
I startled.
The Cambodian pagoda neighborhood was where I was living since I was born until I left for the States. It was the place where I picked up the ball of unluckiness in my childhood and experienced some sweetness when undergoing adolescence. The phrase Cambodian pagoda neighborhood caught my attention. "Vietnamese people are rather queer in the head," the man went on explaining.
"They've ever named a girl Nguyen THCTHM. I had to change it into Phone Thu."
When introducing her to my acquaintances, "Phone Thu always smells fragrant and sounds elegant wherever it comes. CTHM can't be compared to it. It sounds rather uncouth." Note: CTHM or Phone Thu means scented grass. The latter, a Chino-Vietnamese, is usually used in literature. I startled again. It turned out to me that the man with the scent of a girl was the dirty old Vitkiu that Sister C had often mentioned with a sad and rather scornful tone.
I caught a glimpse of him last year while he was boredly taking liberties with Sister C, and she frowned to intimate her indignation. It was not very long time so far. I had his countenance changed so much.
He was a different man.
Decrepit,
Swarthy and ugly. He was going too much bald.
His eyes were no more very bright and intelligent as they used to be, and he became rather slow.
I entered my room and slammed the door to show my angry.
I found the answer to the riddle that had been torturing me for almost 3 months.
The scent was the virginal scent from Sister C. I smelled. When she hugged me on the day we said our goodbyes, and she wished me to live well and try to study hard in the States.
I'm full of pity for Im, my younger brother, she lamented.
Im was of your age, but he didn't have an opportunity to go to school, and now he's not living anymore. He died some years ago.
He'd waded into a puddle to pick up used polyethylene bags, and he stepped onto a rusted milk can. Seeing you, Tan, I miss my brother Im. I miss him so much. I'm sure that when Sister C was hugging me, I did not have any unclean idea in my head.
I felt her soft and gentle arms around me in a pure love.
Even when she pressed my head against her soft and warm breasts, I felt just the feelings of sisterhood she gave me.
So, where did the scent that I thought to be heavenly come from?
I can never figure it out, really.
13 years old, I had neither knowledge nor words to decode such a mysterious phenomenon with abstract terms. I had to forget those futile wonders of my age in order to live well and study hard as Sister C had advised me before I left for the States. Since then, any time I came across the dirty old man, I could no longer smell the virginal scent from him. It had disappeared for good.
Sometimes I even wished I could smell it once again.
But nothing available. It was lucky that the scent wasn't replaced at any time by something unpleasant as the result from the way the men spoke and behaved.
There is one thing that since then I have no longer sweared when speaking anything.
I only use those foul words when it is very necessary, to curse the life. Writing letters to Sister C, I never mention the scent of grass.
Of course, no words have been used to refer to the man.
Not even a word. Port Arthur, Texas, September 1995.
NGUYEN SM, a short profile. Born in Saigon in 1940, having taught at NGUYEN NH2 High School, Petrus K High School and the Faculty of Letters of Saigon University, and at other universities such as VNHN, Cao IHAHO, and CNth, living in the United States of America since 1979, continuing his teaching career, having his articles published in VN, his studies on literature published prior to 1975, literature in southern Vietnam, fighting literature of South Vietnam, South Vietnam literature and the resistance against the French, and works published in the United States implying his thoughts and emotion on his country and human condition of Vietnamese people at home and abroad, singing VNTIN-styled chants. Recently, he has turned his efforts to the national ancient literature, transliterating classical operas and verse novels into modern Vietnamese. These works were originally written in NM characters, found reserved in well-known European libraries, and were not ever transliterated so far. He is a member of the editorial staff for Dictionary of NM Characters.